Hey everyone, welcome back to Golden Key Design. On this week, we're going to be working on the third and final bedroom accent wall. If you didn't check out last week's video, we built the wall just behind me here. You can click up in this corner to watch that video. But in order to get started on this week's accent wall, we're going to first take a look at the design and what the room used to look like. Let's get started.
So after multiple designs on Google SketchUp, this is the one we finally settled on. You can see here we paid close attention to where the outlet was going to be because we really wanted it to fall between two pieces of trim. Here's the before, hence the name Star Room. And after many coats of primer, we can finally get started on edging. So we debated whether or not to put a border, but after seeing it in SketchUp, we decided the design looked best with a border.
Pro tip of the day. So we're nailing in this first board on a 45-degree angle. In order to know where we wanted the end of this to fall so it was perfectly at 45, we took the length of this board and then divided it by the square root of 2, which then gives us the length down here and the height up here. So we took that measurement, made a dot so we know where this fell. Then we used the speed square down in this corner to make sure it was at 45. But then these boards do tend to kind of wiggle in the middle. So we took an additional board, put it on top to kind of straighten it out. And then just to check our work, you can take your speed square again, put it maybe in the middle, and then take your level, put it on top of the speed square, and we're basically perfectly level, so we know that that's a nice 45-degree angle. All right, so this is kind of taking a lot of math, at least to get started here. We're now going to be putting the opposing piece going in this direction, kind of like a symmetrical piece. And so we cut it at a 45 here, and then we put the speed square in this corner down here on my right, but then we didn't have a reference point up there, so we did our best job and we marked where the two intersect on the lower portion. And then to check our work without having to do a bunch of math, what we did was we turned this around, this, and then we just slid this in there so that they're at the same length. And then we compared the two marks that we made. And I'll show you, I'll zoom in on camera, but they line up perfectly, meaning they're the exact same length, which they should be, so we know it's perfectly symmetrical. So that's like an easy way to do it rather than having to do a bunch of calculations. So we're gonna go cut this and install it. All right, so the key thing with this design is not too complicated, but the key thing is that we want the spacing in between each of these to be exactly the same. And in this case, the distance from here to here is 8.5, and then the distance on the hypotenuse down on the baseboard is 12 inches. So in order to make it easy on us, we decided to just cut this like kind of parallelogram. And what we do is we just slide it in to the board here, and these are already cut at 45s. Then we take the new board that we're installing, push it in like that, and now that's perfectly at 12 inches, so we don't have to measure anything, we just use that as kind of like a jig, and it makes things go a lot faster. Right, Bianca?
Right.
Wow, Adidas, here it comes. So when you're doing a wall like this, you kind of want to plan ahead. We made the 3D rendering as you saw, so we knew where this outlet fell relative to these boards. So now as we're putting in our next board here, as you'll see, this board's gonna fall so that the outlet kind of is right in the middle or pretty close to it. It would suck if you came all the way across with your accent wall pieces, and then the next one was right across the outlet, and then you kind of have to work around it. So with these sorts of projects, planning ahead is key. The wall, or this section of the wall, is complete. Last piece of this section, at least, but it's a big one. It's about half the wall. Alright, so now we are starting to do the last kind of triangle section, which are going to be horizontal boards. And as you saw before, we were using those spacers to do the diagonals, and now that we're doing the horizontal, I cut 3 spacers, which are 8.5 inches, which is the same distance that all these boards are spaced at. And so we'll just place these, and I cut 3, that way the middle doesn't kind of dip down. And then this way we don't even really technically need to use a level, since these are all the same height. We know that this one was level, and so we can just place the next board in like this, and just nail that up, and then just use these spacers going up and down, and then it makes things a lot quicker.
Tip of the day.
What is this, Bianca?
The last piece. And finally, everyone's favorite part, caulking. After applying 2 coats of paint on the trim, we're finally complete.
What is this, Bianca?
The last piece.
It's like Dora the Explorer, where we're like, how many snakes do you see? 4. Good
Pause
job.
longer. How many snakes are in the back?
And what the room used to look like. Let's get started. Let's get started. Enunciate.